Okay, take 112. I can't tell you how many times I have re-recorded this video just to get it right. Hopefully, this take is it. How's everyone doing? Happy New Year to everyone. Last year was, let's face it, last year was bullshit. But not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the new year. I'm going to talk about what I want to do on this channel, the type of reviews I want to do and kind of focus on. Now that I actually have more time, I'm going to try to actually take YouTube seriously. I know in several videos I have said I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that with no real promise. But I actually am going to do it this time. My seasonal position at Amazon where I worked ended, so sadly today was my last day, so I no longer have a job. I finished school, so I got my 2-year degree. I think it was an associate's degree. Game design, animation, and web development. Basically, it was just computer science, but those are the courses I took. So school's out the way. I no longer work. I do have free time now. I'm going to show off my knife collection. Mainly the knives that actually get used, carried, and ones that are just actually worth looking at. I do have more knives than what you are seeing. Over here is literally just shit tool gift unusable knives. I wrote this a long ass time ago. Terrible handwriting, I know. This whole thing is just some of them are actually usable, but they're mainly just tool knives. That's why I call them tool knives. I use them to beat the living hell out of them and use them when I'm like needing a knife to, well, destroy something, go camping. Yeah, that's really about it. So we're not even going to worry about that. First, I'm actually going to start off with the knife I have on my desk, which is the Gerber flat iron. Now, this is the pre-redesign Gerber flat iron, which means it has the hole so close to the pivot point that it just didn't open up. Quick little fix, zip tie. Created a thumb stud, and now the knife opens up just fine. I was thinking of like buying the new one when it came out, but then I realized, why waste another $30 when I could find a way to fix this one? It never gets carried, but I do use it when I need a knife and I'm at my desk and I need a knife. It's right there. The knife I carry when I go to the gun range. This is in my range bag. The Kilimanjaro Morsaw. Now, if I remember the blade steel, I'm going to say it. 8CR13 MOV for this one. I think 8CR13 MOV for the flat iron. Now, this knife, this is a clone. If you are someone who are against clone knives or copies, turn away now. I do own a few of them. And I actually like them. Now, do I support them? Not really, no. But that's actually a whole nother video. However, not everyone has the money to buy the more expensive, original, fancy, custom versions. And not everyone has the time to save up that money. You know, life, bills, things get in the way. And I'm one of those people that if I see a cool looking knife and it's within the $200 price range, where right now I feel comfortable spending at most $200 on a pocket knife. That's it. Anything over, it really, really has to be a a knife that speaks to me. Then I would actually save up for it. But this was a $27 knife that I am pretty sure is a copy of a Microtech knife. I don't recall the model. I think it was like the SOCOM Elite or something like that. If you know, please let me know in the description below. I would appreciate it. I mean, in the comments below, not in the description. What am I talking about? But D2 Steel, the company is called Eafengrow. EAFEN Grow. They're usually like all over Amazon. I'm pretty sure they're a company out of either like China or Taiwan, something like that. But the knives are of actually really, really good quality. And for $30, you're getting a knife that probably would be better off paying closer to $50 or $60. So you're getting a knife that has a value of double of what you pay for it. And that's usually with all of their knives. I say usually. I have one knife that is not the case, which we'll get into. Alright, what's next? Let's start with this one. I have two knives here in my Beretta case. Both Cold Steels, because they won't fit anywhere else. Cold Steel Tylite, 6-inch with... I actually can't remember the steel off the top of my head. CPM S35VN. I know they come in like different steels, but I got the S35VN version. I'm sure everyone has seen what the Espada XL looks like. And this one is... I think this was CTX... Oh. No. This is the OS 10. The OS 10 steel. This is not the CPM or CTX BD1 type stuff, whatever. Again, I know they switched out blade steels multiple times. Alright, in here are knives that I consider more my defensive carry knives or martial arts knives such as karambits. This is a Macelong karambit that they call their hunting karambit. I don't see it. I wouldn't use a karambit for hunting. But I nicknamed this one the Hummingbird. This one, also from Macelong. Another just company that's on Amazon. These are all really, again, good-looking knives that I am pretty sure are probably variations of more custom knives. If you know, please let me know. I honestly don't. But I call this one the Shark's Tooth, because, well, is it obvious? Now, this one's from a company called Cancun on Amazon. I did do a review of this. This one I know is a copy of a Quartermaster karambit, which is retail $300 and like $25 on Blade HQ last time I checked. Definitely a karambit I wanted to get. But for me, a karambit is a fighting knife. It's a martial arts tool. It's a self-defense knife. I'm not going to spend $300 on a karambit when it's designed to be used as a weapon and not a tool. So, if I ever got into a situation and the police had to confiscate this as evidence, I'm most likely not going to get it back. And that's a $300 knife that's gone. So, I would feel pretty stupid. But that's why you pay $30, you get a knife with D2 steel that looks just as cool. Matter of fact, it looks identical to the knife that you plan to buy. And if you use it in a self-defense situation and it gets confiscated, it's $30 versus $330. You have less of a heart attack. Then I have copies of the two most popular folding karambits on the market, that being the Emerson Combat Karambit and the Fox 479 Tactical Karambit. Both of these also have D2 steel, and if I have to choose one or the other, I honestly give it to Emerson. They just designed such an amazing karambit. And this is a 1-to-1 copy. Now, luckily, this company, which... Actually, no. This one is a Mason Long. This one is from a company that I don't even recall. Matter of fact, I don't even see this knife from the company I bought it from on Amazon anymore. So they probably did get sued. But this one is from Mason Long, and they do not market this as their own knife. They don't put their own logo. They don't put Emerson. So maybe that's one way they get around sort of the copyright of it. But, you know, again, I'm glad a company does do stuff like this. As for one, I hate this chisel ground thing. Like, I honestly think that's meant for chisels and not knives, but you know, spending $60 on the original Emerson, I would actually be a little more picky about that. I would not spend $260 on a knife with this blade grind. But $30, well, it's a whole different story. It's $30. And again, I carry this and use it as a defensive knife and a martial arts knife, so same thing applies. The Shizuka no Ken. AUS 8 steel. I do want to get the Atenoshi, for sure. And I keep seeing it, and I just never buy it. I even have the money, too. I just never buy it. Something else catches my eye, and I end up buying that. Ooh, excuse me. And I end up buying that. No name OTF that I bought from some, like, anime cosplay store at a mall for $40. I want to say it's a Lightning OTF, or maybe like Vipertech, something like that. It's 8CR13 MOV steel. It's double-edged. It has snappy action. Like, it's actually a good, cheap OTF knife. The Cold Steel Spartan. The first ever Cold Steel knife that I owned and bought. And I was not disappointed. And Cold Steel, that's another thing. I plan to buy a lot of Cold Steels. Keyword is plan to. And never got around to it. I'm still looking for a Talwar. If anyone wants to sell a 4-inch Talwar, whether it's serrated or not, I don't care at this point anymore. I want one. I know they are re-releasing the large version. Sadly, just the large version. But if anyone is willing to trade, maybe one, if not two, depending on who you are. Now, me, I trade knife for knife. I don't trade on value. But I know there are some people that are trading on value. And I know they're discontinued, so some people are going to, like, raise the price on them. Which I think is a little bit of bullshit. But, you know, I understand the reasoning. If you got one for a decent price, I would like to make an offer. Now, this is from this company right here. Oh no, I had it right. I also got this one at a flea market. At a sort of like tactical knife booth. This is an OTF karambit. This is like the coolest fucking thing I have ever seen. I love karambits, and I think OTFs are really, really fun. And this is an OTF and a karambit that had a baby. And yes, it is D2 steel. Alright, now let's move in to the actual collection of knives. So, there are spaces missing. First off, I fucked up on the foam inserts, and so a lot of the foam's kind of damaged. So I do plan on getting a new case with new foam inserts and redoing all of this. But these are knives that I have and just don't carry. These are knives that I do carry that are more like utility knives. And these are knives that I carry that are more like tactical knives. I'll do a whole nother video explaining my reasonings behind that, but not right now. So let's start off with these knives. So first off, the Ganzo 720 8CR13 MOV. I got that knife in a trade with Cutlery Lover. The CRKT Icoma Fossil. Also 8CR13 MOV. The EF, either 385, 853, or 538, something like that. This is a knife I gave the designation of snub nose. So this is another knife that has kind of my own name. And this is from that Ethan Grow company. This is the one knife that, in my opinion, was not worth the $20 I paid for it. Because it is super damn small when the image made it seem so much bigger. But also, it's just, it doesn't feel like the same quality as the other ones. Now, this knife is one of my more expensive knives, and definitely a knife that's more in my kind of like Safe Queen category. Is the first production run of the Bradley Chimera Balisong. Then I have the custom Spyderco Resilience that I also got in trade from Jeff, the Cutlery Lover. And then got the Cryo over here from Kershaw. Just a small pocket knife, so I don't carry it. The other Gerber knife, I don't like Gerber as a company. There are some knives that actually catch my eye, and I will buy them when they're usually on sale, or when they're usually sold at Walmart in like a $20 gift package. Or if I get them in trade, that works too. But I'm not going to go out of my way and always buy them. The Gerber Paraframe. Kershaw Hotwire. This is a Browning spring-assisted pocket knife. No name. It just has a really, really cool tribal design, and that is the only reason why I bought it. And last but not least, the CRKT M1610Z. This is actually a knife I like, and a 3-inch blade is probably about the smallest knife I would carry for utility reasons, and not self-defense reasons, but utility reasons. I just don't like combo edges. If it was plain edge, yes. Plain edge with the Tonto blade, sign me up. But sadly, that is not the case. All right. You know what? Let's start off with actually the new ones to my collection. This is another EF knife. And I also know this one is a clone of two knives. Now, one, I call this the Batwing because it kind of reminds me of like a bat sleeping upside down. So, I call it the Batwing. But I'm pretty sure it takes the blade shape of the Brous Blades Raven, gives it a whole different grind, and gives it a different skeletonized cutout. But then it takes the handle. I don't know if it takes the exact same like grinds and shape of the Echelon from Brous Blades, but this knife is super, super smooth. Again, this is one of those knives I paid about $35, and this is a very smooth D2, very cool looking blade. I love the anodized hardware, the black G10, the two-tone blade. It is really nice. And I think the Brous Blades, Raven and Echelon are maybe now sub $200 knives? I can't remember. Then we have a rake knife and a nice, beautiful black wash. And this is not spring assisted, but like, look at this action. It just flies out of there. This is a knife that my buddy had in stainless steel, and I actually really, really liked it. And he showed this to me on Friday, so 2 days ago. And on Saturday, or no, not Saturday, on Friday, that night, I went on Amazon and picked this up for $50. It uses a Sandvik steel, so it has really, really great edge retention. And this edge is just razor sharp. It is a beautiful, beautiful knife. If you're looking again for a knife that's like bang for your buck, great quality, or you're just, you're not a knife collector, but you're someone who wants a good pocket knife, whether for work, for just everyday carry, this is something I would recommend because the lock kind of makes it a virtual fixed blade, so you're able to do some harder tasks and not worry about the knife closing and locking up on you. So that is a great feature to have. I will be doing a review on that one. Then we have the Boker Kalashnikov 74. This has been beaten to hell. I have used the hell out of this knife. I want to get more. I want to get the Wharncliffe one, the larger Spearpoint one. There's just so many. ZT-0350. I bought this knife, and these pocket clip screws were stripped. I can't even remove them. So I can't even carry this the way I want to carry it, but I still do anyways. I love this knife. Although ZT to me seems like some of their knives try to be tactical, and they really are. They're built really tough. But they're almost like the fashion tactical. And then you have a model like that actually is a really nice tactical knife. And for the longest time, I thought that was the same model that Gibbs carried in NCIS. Actually, he carried the 303, and now I have to get that one. I love NCIS. Big fan of the series. This is the Kershaw boot knife. I think there was another name for it, but it's a folding boot knife, so I just call it the boot knife. Then we have the Kershaw and Emerson CQC 7K and the 4K XL. Now, funny story about both of these, I was at a Big 5 Sporting Goods, and I really wanted the CQC 7. And that knife was $36. Well, the CQC 4 XL was $20 at the time. And so the guy at the counter shows me the CQC 7. I choose that one. But when he goes to pull a new one out of the box, like a new one out from under the counter and hand me the box, I didn't think to check it in front of him. He didn't check it. It had the same sticker. Turns out it was the CQC 4 XL. And so I just paid $36 for a $20 knife that they were selling. I caught it when I got outside of the store. We're about to get in the car. I open it up. It's not the knife I wanted. So I bring it back in. I tell him I wanted to return it. And he just gave me that knife and told me to keep the other one. He just said keep it. And gave me the one that I wanted. So I just spent $36 and walked away with 2 knives. That's what I call a good day. Ontario Rat 1. Os 8 steel. And the other EF knife that is a clone of again, Microtech. I call this one the Striklone XL because it kind of reminds me of a Strider SMG with the handle shape and the fact that it has a drop point blade with a finger choil, but it's larger than that. So that's kind of the nickname that I gave it, but I would like to know what the actual model this knife is taking inspiration from. Let's go with this one. The Cold Steel Kiridashi. I'm a big fan of Japanese inspired knives, so even if they're cheap, even if they're stupid, I'm going to buy them. Matter of fact, that would be its own collection video, is just all the knives that are inspired by the Japanese sword and blades. Like this one, inspired off the Japanese utilitarian pocket knife from a company called Katsu, a knife company out of Japan that hand makes these knives. Well, I think they are all like stamped and then hand ground and hand fitted, but they are not like made from scratch from the ground up. Great company. $50 knife. You're getting a D2 blade steel, and it is a locking version of a traditional Japanese pocket knife, which is made with that same Wharncliffe sheep's foot style blade. It's a slip joint, and it usually has just a thin piece of brass that's folded and then pinned together, and they're like super thin, and they're just kind of cheap. So then I have the Kershaw, I think it's called the Fuller or the Filter, something like that. I call it the Graphite because this thing just looks like graphite. It is, or it was, a spring-assisted knife. But now, I remove the spring and it basically became a gravity knife. I just give it a good hard flick without even touching the blade, and it comes right out. The last EF knife, the one I call the Gentleman. This is a straight razor, folding pocket knife. It just looks really, really cool, really classy. Is it hair-popping razor sharp? No, not really. It is razor sharp, but it's not something I would shave with. Plus, I wouldn't shave with it at all. I shave with a straight razor. That is not a blade I would shave with. Another OTF knife. And then we have the Benchmade Griptilian, the Blackout, D2 steel. Just ignore the annoying yapping dog in the background. The Buck Inertia. This is the Walmart exclusive one. Actually, this knife hates me. Because the first day that I've carried this knife, I ended up stabbing myself in the leg with it. I was cutting open a piece of box. Not a piece of box. I was cutting open a side of a box. And it was like a long box. So I started cutting down. And as I got down towards the bottom, I slipped through and ended up just stabbing the tip into my leg. It wasn't deep. It wasn't like, oh my god, I had to go to the hospital. But it hates me. Then I have the... Damn. There we go. Spyderco Persistence. This one I bought at like a pawn shop that was already slightly customized. And I thought it was really cool. So I plan to use this one to practice acid etching. And I'm going to do the blade and the pocket clip. And last but not least, the Spyderco Tenacious. The very first Spyderco I ever owned. And I only have the three, like, cheap ones. The Resilience, the Persistence, the Tenacious. I only have those. So that is it. That is the entire knife collection. Okay, it's not the entire knife collection, but it's the important ones. It's the ones that actually make up my collection. But it is not every single knife that I own. Alright, so before I end the video, talking specifically on what I'm going to do, I'm going to be reviewing mainly knives that are of the unique and not so common variety. Another reason why I took down a bunch of my old videos is because, one, they were kind of cringy as hell when I rewatched them. Two, you could find actually better videos. I'm not going to go in talking about the specs and everything. I'm going to give you a brief overview, but I'm mainly going to give you my opinion on the knife. Why it's designed the way it is, what I think it would be good for, my expectations from carrying the knife, and my expectations before carrying the knife, just to give you a really good review before you purchase the knife. My job of a review, when I'm doing a knife review, is to help you make a decision on whether you want to buy this or not. And if I also kind of persuade you to look at clone knives or copy knives, because that is something that you can afford right now, and it's gonna look the tits, but it's gonna be affordable. Or yeah, you can go out and spend on the custom version. It's up to you. Alright, that is it, guys. Peace.